doing nothing is a skill and you're probably terrible at it. The most profitable trade I ever made was the one I never entered, and that sounds insane until you realize the Stoics figured this out 2,000 years ago and we spent every decade since trying to unlearn it. Here's what actually happens. You see a setup, it looks good, your chest tightens. You open the order window and you jump in 3 candles too early, or you text back in anger before you've thought it through, or you say yes to the opportunity before the terms are even clear. And then you watch the whole thing collapse on you. Not because you were wrong about the direction, but because you couldn't wait. That's not a strategy failure, that's a character failure, and nobody wants to hear that. The Stoics called it temperance. Temperance. Not moderation in the watered down, have one glass of wine sense. Real temperance. Sophrosyne, in the Greek, it means self-mastery, the ability to govern your own impulses, specifically when those impulses feel completely justified. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, and I'm paraphrasing, that you should never prize anything that will force you to break your word, lose your self-respect, hate somebody, suspect someone, or curse someone. Acting out of impatience does all of those things. You break your own rules, you lose respect for your own process, and then you blame the market or the other person or the timing. Epictetus was even blunter. He said the chief task in life is identifying and separating matters so that you can say clearly to yourself which are externals not under your control and which have to do with the choices that are yours. The entry price is an external. Your timing, your willingness to wait, that's yours. Now, here's why this is almost impossible in 2026. We have been systematically conditioned to treat speed as virtue. Move fast and break things. First mover advantage. Strike while the iron is hot. Our feeds are engineered to reward reactivity. Every notification is a tiny test of impulse control, and the platform wins when you fail. And this bleeds into everything. Into how we trade, into how we make decisions, into how we respond to people who challenge us. We have built an entire culture on the premises that waiting is the same as losing, that stillness is weakness, that the person who acts first is in control. The Stoics would look at that and call it what it is, a massive failure of reason. Here's the actual hot take. Waiting is not passive. Waiting, done correctly, is one of the most aggressive, disciplined, offensive things you can do. Think about a sniper. The shot is not the hard part for him. Lying still for 6 hours in a field watching, not moving, not eating, not reacting to every distraction, a bug crawling on him, that's the job. The trigger pull is almost incidental. It's almost a condition of waiting in that field for 6 hours. Surgeons are trained to recognize when not to operate because an unnecessary surgery can kill a patient just as surely as a botched one. The decision to close and come back is often the harder call and the better one. In trading, that parallel is exact. The market will give you another setup. It always does. Always. But if you've already blown your account on an early entry, you're not going to be in the game for that setup. You weighted yourself out of a position by not waiting. Here's the practical principle. So here's what temperance actually looks like as practice. Not a philosophy lecture, but a repeatable action. Before you enter anything, a trade, a conversation, a commitment, ask yourself one question. Am I doing this because the conditions are right or because it feels unbearable? If you can't answer that honestly, you already have your answer. The discomfort of waiting is not a signal to move, it's a signal to check yourself. The Stoics didn't say do nothing forever. They said act from reason, not from agitation. There's a difference between a calculated entry and a reactive one, and that difference is almost entirely psychological and emotional. Impatience is not ambition. It's anxiety wearing ambition's clothes, and the market and life will keep charging you for the confusion until you learn the difference. The most powerful move to you right now might be to close the order window, put down the phone, and wait. Not because nothing matters, but because this matters too much to rush. So if that reframe hit different, subscribe, follow, like, comment, because this channel is going to keep handing you ideas that the algorithm doesn't want you thinking about. Thank you for watching.